anything could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh, and I'm glad to be here with you. Thankful that you are with us, and it's going to be a great show today. I always know that, even though there is a weather warning, there's an advisory. We've been kind of talking about this weather advisory coming, this winter's not done storm that's upon us now, and what are we going to get? Is it going to be rain? Is it going to be snow? How long is it going to last? What's this mean to us? Do we have to cancel plans? All that stuff. So hopefully my prayers have been that it just passes us by. And so far, it looks like much of the activity is passing us by. So far so good, but you know how that goes. We live in Sudbury and anything can happen, just like it says in the beginning of the show, in the intro. So thanks for being with us. Good morning, Jason. Thanks for being on. I know you do your show immediately following this, and so anyone who wants to check out your show, I know I shared the link to it, and I know you got some things going on that are you have some initiatives going on as well. So I encourage everyone to check in to that immediately following the show, or going on your Facebook page. You could always see that you have Canada Freedom Radio. You want to check him out on Facebook, and he's constantly up on the latest in terms of what's going on in with the pulse of our country. So grateful for that. I've checked out a few of your shows, Jason. Great job. So good morning, Monique. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Judy. Thanks for being with us. Hopefully you're having a great Friday, and you're welcome, Jason. Not a problem. Canada Freedom Radio is on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for that. That's awesome. You have quite a few followers as well, and I know that there's a lot of misconceptions going on about the idea of kind of pushing back against some of the government regulations that we saw in full force, using the COVID pandemic as a kind of a front. But we saw a lot of things going ahead in terms of our country that you should be concerned about, and we are on this show, and we constantly try to talk about it. We want to not alienate anyone, and we want the conversation to be open to everyone, as we are all Canadians, I thought, or want to be Canadians, new Canadians coming to this country, and we want to enjoy the idea of being free in this nation, and anything that looks like it's kind of creeping in on that, which there are some things, and you always have to be aware. If you looked at our First and Second World War, it's always been known you have to fight for your freedoms. And once they're taken away, it's always a fight back. So now's the time to fight before we lose them. And history repeats itself. We're always losing. We're fighting for freedoms. We'll get it. We have to sacrifice to get them. And then if you kind of you rest on your laurels and you're not paying attention, there are always factions out there that are out there to take them away. And to think that there's not is you're just not in reality. So anyways, it's always good to keep on top of that, keep up to date, keep informed, educated on what our country is up to, how we can keep this beautiful nation glorious and free, as is in our national anthem. Good morning, David. Stay safe, especially today with all that's going on. Thanks for joining us, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here with you this morning, live on CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio, and also CKLU streaming online. You go to the website, click on the Radio Player Canada logo. You can stream us, download that same Radio Player Canada app, and you can have us anytime and listen to us anywhere on your favorite device. We're also live on Facebook Live, streaming, video streaming at facebook.com/Sudbury News and youtube.com/Sudbury News. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, all of those things on our social media. We are also on Twitter at Sudbury News, Instagram at Sudbury.news. So we're trying to grow our Twitter. Just seems to be not that much used in Canada. It seemed to be used all at once when it was new, and then people kind of got away from it. But so I'm not sure what our Twitter channel is really all about. We're going to figure that out. But we're on all the social medias, mainly live streaming, though, on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks to our Facebook and YouTube moderators. You have a job to do. It's tough. It's not easy these days. Lots of stuff being talked about. We do want to be respectful on this channel. We do encourage, and this is mainly for a conversation facilitated by myself and some co-hosts coming on, but it's mainly a conversation, and so your comments are welcome. Doing my best to get them up on the screen, because it doesn't just automatically come up on the screen. I have to go in, read them, and then put them up. And sometimes we've moved on from the conversation, that particular topic. And so to go back, I'm in my mind trying to keep in the real time the conversation flowing while I'm doing the technical side, while I'm reading your comments and figuring out where they can fit in. So I hope we all appreciate the fact that I'm not discarding some people's comments. I would never do that. All of your comments are important. And so I would encourage anyone to just look at the comments on Facebook if we're missing any of them here, because the conversation is great. You guys are great contributors and very up on the latest of what's going on and care a lot about your country and your community. And that's what we're all about. We're a community radio and live streaming podcast, broadcast, talk show. However, the things that are important in our community, they also, we feel that we want to keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on in our country, our province as well. And we have people joining us from all over the world. So welcome to you as well. Thanks for being with us. Now, speaking of local, there's some weather going on and it ain't very nice. And then after we do the weather, there's some sports. They got the Lightning in action tonight. The Wolves are in action. And the headlines, the Renee Sweeney case is on hold. There's some new police technology that's out there that just scans our license plates. And there's a lot more. Our deep dive today, we've been looking into the supposedly climate crisis. Tucker Carlson did a really great monologue last night on that. I might want to play some of that, where he goes into many, many predictions that were made over the years. And I just think it's very telling as a follow-up to our conversation yesterday when we were talking about the CBC article where potholes, climate change, potholes are going to get worse with climate change. And it just kind of made me think of a few things. So anyways, we got a great show ahead. So stay tuned. Starting with the weather. We'll be back right after this. Sudbury weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. It's currently 0 degrees. Feels like -5. There is a weather advisory, and it is for the greater city of Sudbury and vicinity. Snow and total local amounts of 10 to 15 centimeters. It will be continuing into this evening before tapering off. And we quickly accumulate. The visibility could be reduced at times. Northern portions of the region are more likely to see snowfall in the 10 to 15 centimeter range. Southern portions of the region may receive more wet snow. So this is the thing. We could just get a lot of rain here and not much snow, or just slush, a little bit of freezing rain. It's mixed bag. So this is one of these times you're not really sure how to plan or what to do. So be careful out there and just monitor your situation. Go outside and look at the conditions for yourself, and just keep on top of it. So today, snow at times, heavy, changing to rain or snow near noon. Fog patches dissipating this morning, 5 to 10 centimeters. High of +4 today. Tonight, rain ending this evening, then cloudy with 60% chance of flurries. And the wind chill will be -17 overnight. The low of -11 this evening. Saturday, mix of sun and cloud with a 60% chance of flurries, high of -4. The wind chill -19 in the morning, -11 in the afternoon. And then a look at your 7-day. Saturday, we just talked about 60% chance of flurries, high of -4. Sunday, 0 with a 30% chance of flurries. Monday, mix of sun and cloud, high of 1. Tuesday, chance of flurries, 40%, and a high of +1. Wednesday, mix of sun and cloud, 0 is your high. 40% chance of flurries on Thursday, high of +1. So here you got what used to be a storm and then sun. You got a mixed bag of, we're not even sure if it's a storm, lots of precipitation, however, and then flurries still predicted on Saturday and Sunday. There's a 30% chance. And then you got a mix of sun and cloud, and then flurries are predicted on Tuesday and a mix of sun and cloud. So, no sun in the forecast here. Anyways, so there you go. That is your weather. Look at your satellite image over northern Ontario. You can see the green stuff at the bottom there. That is the heavy stuff, rain, and the blue would be snow. So you see we're right in that area where there's snow above us, rain below us. So who knows what we can get. So stay safe out there, everyone. And hopefully you're not too affected by the weather. That's your Sudbury weather. Brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with some sports right after this. Sudbury Sports, brought to you by that Sudbury Sports guy, Randy Pascal, and his website, sudburysports.com. The Five, who just defeated the Lightning, incredibly, never were able to beat them before, but really great job on Wednesday night down in London on their court, no doubt. And then now tonight they're facing the Windsor Express. That goes ahead at 7 o'clock. You can catch that game live on nblc.tv. More information, you just go to the5.ca. So looking forward to that one. So tonight's a busy day in sports in Sudbury because we also have a game, but in town, and the Sudbury Wolves are facing off against the Peterborough Petes. Now they just defeated the Greyhounds 7-3 on Wednesday night, clinching a playoff spot, first time in 3 years. And tonight they're going to face off against Peterborough Petes. So they can only hope to move up in the standings. They're currently in 7th, and they're hoping to move up a little bit in the standings. Let's see here. Sudbury.com reporting. Their record is 28-27, 5-3. Good for 7th place in the Ontario League's Eastern Conference. So after their win with the Sioux, they clinched the playoff spot. And tonight they're playing, which is also, tonight is St. Paddy's Day. I forgot to mention that at the beginning. I'm not wearing green that you can see. I have a little bit of green on my socks, of all places. But St. Paddy's Day today. Maybe I'll put on something green for tonight, my green shirt, and get out and support the Wolves. They're playing against the Peterborough Petes. So it is St. Paddy's Day. Fans can join the Wolves at the Sudbury Community Arena. Bring the luck of the Irish to St. Paddy's Day Friday night, sponsored by the Ontario Nurses Association. You can visit the table in the lower lobby for a chance to win a prize from the ONA, the Ontario Nurses Association. Puck drop, 7:05 as usual. Get out and support them. Then the Wolves hit the road and go to North Bay on Sunday at 2, where they'll be facing the North Bay Battalion. See if they can close out the season and finish on a high, beating a really challenging team. That'd be really great for exercise going into the playoffs for our Sudbury Wolves. Also, curling is continuing at the in the South End. at the Countryside Arena. Both pads are being used for 8, I think, curling rinks. Both the 2023 U Sports Curling Canada University Championship and the CCAA Curling College Championships are underway. So if you love curling, you can get out and watch it there. We'll be back with maybe some gas prices, some headlines, some deep dives, and much more after this. That's your Sudbury Sports, brought to you by SudburySports.com. That is Randy Pascal's website. He's that Sudbury Sports guy. We'll be back right after this. All right, Sudbury gas prices brought to you by gasbuddy.com/Sudbury. Pioneer Gas Bar on LaSalle, 136.9. Pioneer Gas Bar on the Kingsway, 136.9. Going for the cheapest gas in Sudbury. After that, it's Chelmsford, 143.5. And Costco, 144.9. What's going on with Costco? Let's refresh this and just see. I believe I refreshed it this morning already. Just want to make sure it's right, and it is. Those are the gas prices. Costco is not the lowest gas prices in town, and it looks like they might not want to be because they can make a lot more money if they just keep gas prices high, like all the gas stations have been doing over all of these years. Anyways, didn't take them long to catch on. So Sudbury gas prices higher, just as high as usual, but it looks like Pioneer on the Kingsway and on, let's see, Pioneer on LaSalle. That's it. Pioneer on LaSalle is the lowest price in town currently, but that was 19 hours ago. So that's how it works here. People just kind of text in, and that's the latest gas prices. So 23 hours ago, 14 hours ago. So gas prices are probably all around 145 today. Gas prices sponsored by gasbuddy.com/Sudbury. We'll be back with some headlines right after this. All right, headlines, all kinds of stuff happening today. It is Friday, so I hope everyone's excited. Those that work, the regular work day, Monday to Friday, it's a thing. If you work shift work or whatever, you have a different kind of job. It's no different to you, the weekend. So, but for those that their birthdays, a friend of mine, Kevin's birthday is today, so a shout out to him. Happy birthday, Kevin. And good morning, Vin. Hope you're having a great morning. Getting back on some of the comments here, which there seemed to be quite a few while I was doing the weather. Showing the Weather Network 3 and rain until 8 p.m. tonight. Okay, showing on the Weather Network 3 and rain until 8 p.m. tonight. So the temperature is 3 degrees with rain until 8 tonight. Thanks for that, Miles. I appreciate that. Claire, good morning. You made it. That's great. Thanks for being with us. And also Jerome, good morning. Hope you're having a great morning. Smiley icon there. Dennis, what's up? Yep, it was a great job by our Sudbury boys, that's for sure. The Sudbury Wolves, Sudbury 5. So you went to the Sudbury 5 game down in London, I believe. So that's great. The Sudbury 5. Awesome. Okay, that's great. So good morning, everyone. That's Dennis. Should have seen our Wolves beat the Knights 5-4. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, the Lightning beat the Knights. The Lightning beat the Wolves here in town just recently, unfortunately. But it was a close game, and they should have went into overtime, and we gave it away behind our own net, and it's just what happens. That's how we lost that game. Diane, good morning. Happy Friday, bon matin. Thanks for being with us. All right, so here we are. It is A new day with new headlines. So this one I always thought was interesting. We don't really talk about it enough, I think. So CBC.ca reporting business, governments say Ring of Fire could be worth $1 trillion. Industry watchers say, no way, Jose. They didn't say Jose. They just said no way. From the time the Ring of Fire was discovered in 2007, politicians and industry leaders have emphasized the potential economic value of the remote, mineral-rich area in northern Ontario. But industry experts out there are saying, no, it's not worth that much money. If you look at Sudbury as an example, there's a lot of money in the ground in northern Ontario. So I don't know the business case for it, but to say it's worth $1 trillion, I have no problem believing that. If you just look in the Sudbury area alone, how much money is under our feet, but then you look at all of northern Ontario and the Ring of Fire, it would have to be a lot. Okay, so Dennis is saying he lives 5 minutes away from Budweiser Gardens, so it's easy for him to get in and see every event. Wow, Dennis, way to get out there and watch the sports. Nothing like it, eh? Brings a community together like no other thing. This is an interesting story from Sudbury.com. Small reactors could empower First Nations with energy security. Indigenous communities in Ontario, Saskatchewan get on the ground floor of this emerging technology. Now, this looks a little futuristic to me, but I'm all about energy. If we're going to be going into battery-operated cars, there's a lot of red flags for me with all this stuff. And if we're just relying on solar panels and wind, and ain't going to happen. We're not going to be able to power up our electric everything with renewable energy the way that it is now. We're going to have to do something. So Emily Wutang McInnes was hesitant when, sorry, I probably butchered your name, but was hesitant when Ontario Power Generation approached her community, Curve Lake First Nation, for their input in the building Canada's first on-grid small nuclear reactor. Now, my brother's all about nuclear energy. He even feels they need to make a nuclear battery for cars that last years and years and years, a nuclear-powered car vehicle. And says that would be the solution to go with. And apparently it is a green technology as well. You wouldn't think so because of the Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island, things like that has happened in the past. But if you handle it correctly, it is a very low carbon footprint form of energy and produces powerful energy. So the OPG is planning a 300 megawatt SMR at its Darlington site east of Toronto on the traditional land of Curve Lake. The provincial utility wanted to ensure that Indigenous voices were heard as one of the signatory communities in the Williams Treaty of 1923. Curve Lake was invited to be part of the conversation about any environmental concerns and impacts. The chief emeritus of the Kawarthas Area First Nation had concerns about the waste consequences associated with nuclear energy, but today they were enthusiastically supportive of the nuclear energy, and they've used SMRs as a solution to a low carbon future, kind of like I was saying earlier. Sitting on an independent review committee was their front row seat to watch the project take shape. Construction has not started. The Darlington SMR project has a site preparation license, and it looks like it's going to be going ahead. Now, that would be great for each community to have their own. If we're going to have, quote unquote, greener energy, and be able to have the power to continue to at least have the capabilities of running our society in a way that's not, we don't have to go backwards instead of forwards. The current energy that we have, or the way that we're heading without using coal, with not continuing with creating new hydro projects and things like that, we will not have the energy to power our country, our communities. Just won't. It's just not there. So this is a solution, and I would hope that they would look into the idea of these smaller reactors to power communities. Each community has their own. That would be great. Okay, so, you work at Budweiser too. That's cool, Dennis. Congratulations on that. That's awesome. Miles says, even at Sudbury, the millennial, even in Sudbury, the mineral content is several kilometers deep. That is exactly right. They'll never run out, and that is my beliefs as well. Good morning, Julia. Thanks for being with us this morning. Happy St. Paddy's Day to you as well. So we have technology to do a lot. That is correct. However, we're not really planning, and it's not really planned yet, how this is all going to roll out. We have great intentions, but I think these mini nuclear plants are a great idea to get us there. The development of fusion power within the next couple of decades will make nuclear energy obsolete. Oh, interesting. I did not know that, Miles. We'll have to get... I'm going to switch accounts here just because I can. Or do I have to? I don't know. We'll just leave her alone. There we go. Okay, so that's it. Nuclear power. So fusion energy, Miles is saying, is going to make leaps and bounds for us in terms of not needing nuclear, which nuclear is a form of fusion, right? Okay, nuclear fusion. So I guess that particular industry will be making a lot of innovative breakthroughs in the future. And so I'm just hoping for a brighter future. With what we got now, we can't move forward with this whole green idea. So things like this are promising. Opposition leaders dismissed David Johnston's appointment as special rapporteur. Maybe we'll come back to that, more of a deep dive. Tips sought regarding downtown hit and run. So there's been another hit and run downtown. This has been becoming an epidemic of sorts. All kinds of hit and runs downtown. This is the latest, January 19th at Paris and Cedar. Oh, okay, so this is a former hit and run. They're still looking at getting information on. So Crime Stoppers and Greater Sudbury Police Service are seeking the public's assistance regarding an alleged hit and run. January 19th, around 5:25, a pedestrian was struck by a dark-colored SUV, tinted windows, intersection of Paris and Cedar. The driver of the vehicle fled the scene. 44-year-old pedestrian sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Anyone with information on that are encouraged to contact Greater Sudbury Police at 705-675-9171. Crime Stoppers, 1-800-222-TIPS. Locally at 705-222-TIPS. Wow, you can say that number very fast. Tips can also be submitted online at SudburyCrimeStoppers.com. Continue with headlines. Sudbury police still seeking help to locate a missing Sudbury man. Here's a picture. Unfortunately, the advertisements really take up a lot of the space here. Okay, here you go. A little bit if you know this particular gentleman. Greater Sudbury Police still trying to locate missing man and hope the public can provide some clues as to his whereabouts. Ray Cameron, who's 62, was last seen 7 a.m. on March the 6th. He's described as being 5'3", 145 pounds, thin mustache, hazel eyes. Cameron wears glasses, and when last seen, was wearing a blue plaid jacket, blue jeans, and a navy jacket with red and black shoes. Again, any information contact police or Crime Stoppers. I don't know why you call Crime Stoppers unless there was a crime. However, here's possible, again, a bit of a deep dive today going back. So did you know David Johnston was skiing buddies with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau? So this is their nonpartisan, non-biased rapporteur that Justin Trudeau has appointed to investigate the alleged Chinese collusion or Chinese interference in our elections. And so just so happens they were skiing buddies, according to Lily. Sudbury man accused of killing his wife headed to preliminary hearing. I have this story right here open. So the name, charged with first-degree murder in the death of a 27-year-old woman. Remember last year in August, there was a murder on Spruce Street that is concerning that. Hatinder Sharma, he's 34, made a brief appearance in video bail remand court yesterday. And that his preliminary hearing dates are October the 3rd, 5th, 6th, 18th, 19th, 20th, and 24th were set. Also announced were a confirmation hearing court date on August 1st and a readiness court date on September 26th. The preliminary hearing determines if there was enough evidence for the matter to proceed with a trial. It's suspected that the lady that he killed was his wife. That was reported from CTV News. It's believed the deceased woman was Sharma's spouse. Police did not release the woman's name, but CTV News in Sudbury reported she was 27 and worked at Health Sciences North. So the story is from Harold Carmichael of the Sudbury Star, who he is quoting CTV News, which, see, that does happen. So the other day there was a comment on one of our shared posts that this is not real news. Someone said, we're not real news. Whatever. I don't know what else they said, but it's because all we do is unpack the news. Sudbury, CTV, Sudbury.com, CBC, Sudbury Star. And so here you have a journalist from the Sudbury Star quoting CTV News, and that's okay, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's not real news either. Sudbury Star is probably not real news if you're quoting other news sources. All right. So continuing, a couple comments here, Miles. Yeah, reported a couple of months ago in the States, it's non-nuclear fusion. Yeah, going back to the nuclear thing. Oh, ever neat. I'll have to look into that one for sure. Cliff, we will appoint someone to investigate us. Justin Trudeau. That's a quote for sure. Laughable in many ways. Bit comical. This is better news than the others in our city. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that, Jason. Thank you. Dennis, I'd rather watch this than our regular news. Okay. Appreciate it, guys. Really, I do. Maybe if Sudbury.com would report real news and not be biased, you guys are fair. Well, I appreciate that as well. We do try. And I have to say, though, I have bias because everyone does, right? I am biased. I have my point of view and I do share it and I'm openly sharing it. However, I do believe that all points need to be out there, and then after you can hear both sides or more than two sides, you then can make up your own decision. But I think what happens in our news more and more and more is that we're only hearing one side for some reason. Not sure why. We'll get to the bottom of it eventually, but it just seems like everyone's on the same page, only showing a particular side and not really open to more than one side or the discussion. They close their comments on their Facebook pages. You can tell the words they use are really biased towards one side. They're picking sides all the time. And they're supposed to be news, which is supposed to be unbiased. So at least we like to share their story and then discuss it, which then comes out the other sides, and through your comments as well, we're able to have a discussion on these things, right? Which I think is pretty healthy. Never worry about the person's comment like like me. That's LOL. So no, it's good to be respectful, however, of comments. I don't think we need to be disrespectful in our discussions. However, I do believe it's important to have respectful discussions, no matter what side of the fence we are on any topic or any story. We'll all do, but we do it within the means, and that's according to bias. I believe you're talking about, Jason. So, and congrats on a full week of double-digit viewers this week. Oh, well, thank you very much. Much appreciated, Vin. Great to notice that. Now, this is the thing. I can't see who's on. Like, I can only see who comments. And a lot of times people will come on and say, hey, to their friends, and they'll specifically see them on in the list of viewers. I don't get that. So if you're on and you're a friend of mine and you're like, oh, I wish you would say hi. Well, I don't see you there. I don't see you unless you comment and say, hey, good morning. Then I would see the fact that you're on. I only see a number. Like right now it's 12. It was up to 15, goes down to 12, goes up to, goes up and down in the double digits, which is great. But at the same time, I don't see specific people on. Every opinion matters, and that is 100% true, Dennis. Thank you very much. I believe this is Adam chiming in. Speaking of bias, David Johnston sits on the board of the Pierre Trudeau Foundation. That's really unbiased, eh? He's the unbiased rapporteur. Skiing buddy sits on the board of the Justin Trudeau Foundation. Doesn't sound very unbiased to me. What's the Pierre Trudeau Foundation? And what does it do? Oh, it's there to be a tax haven. These foundations, the Clinton Foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they're just ways of people being able to, what is it? When it looks like you're doing philanthropy. So in the news, it's like, oh, these people are doing so much good, but really it's just tax havens. So they get tax rebates. And so that's all that those are. And I'm not, okay, that's my bias coming out. See, I just made a blanket statement saying all people who have foundations are only doing them for tax reasons. That is not true. I'm sure there are many billionaires out there who are like, I don't care about the tax havens. I'm just going to do this because I want to do it. Okay. There's probably some out there, but that's what they are. They're tax shelters. They do have those benefits. David Johnson, also family friends of the Trudeau family. Well, there you go. With that, let's just head right into our deep dive then. I guess that's a great segue to the Sudbury Star here. One of the reporters talking about the fact that there was a conservative MPP who was also accused that China was meddling in his election, getting him elected, and the way the Ford government treated it compared to, and there's a long comment right here from Cliff, so I probably won't fit on the screen, by the way, Cliff, but I'll just encourage everyone to go on. Oh, and your flag too, if there's a swear in it, it won't come out. It won't come up, but it came up on my screen, and it looks like it's basically grayed out on the comments, so people won't be able to read it. I'll do my best when I come back from this video to give it its due. So Miles, you got the last word before the video. So they gave away money for tax breaks. Yeah, exactly. That's what they do. It's a bit of a game. All right, so here you go. We're back right after this.
Let me say that we are extraordinarily lucky and happy to have a member of parliament like Han Dong in our midst, serving his community, serving our country alongside Chinese Canadian MPs from different parts of the country.
Premier Doug Ford did the right thing. Last Friday, he accepted the resignation of MPP Vincent Ke in response to a global news report alleging Ke has ties to foreign election interference. Now, whether Ford accepted the resignation or suggested the resignation, I don't know. What I do know is that within less than 24 hours, action was taken. Vincent Ke is no longer a member of the Progressive Conservative Caucus in Ontario. He is now sitting as an independent MPP. You compare that response to what we've seen from Prime Minister Trudeau, and it's night and day. Trudeau has had over 2 weeks to take some action in response to media reports that suggested that Liberal MP Han Dong was the beneficiary of foreign election interference. Trudeau has done nothing. He, in fact, said people asking about that were racist. He continues to resist calls for a nonpartisan public inquiry into election interference. So let's compare the two. Premier Ford, within a day, took action to cast out doubts over the integrity of government decision-making. He took action immediately. It is not a distraction any longer in Ontario. And Lord knows, with the state of education policy in Ontario, under the leadership of Stephen Lecce, we do not need distractions. We, in fact, need to be focused on making much better policies than the current status quo for children and for parents. But Premier Ford removed that distraction. Justin Trudeau welcomes the distraction. He has not taken the steps that even NDP leader Jagmeet Singh has asked him to take to ensure that there can be confidence in the integrity of government decision-making. He doesn't want to look into this in a public, nonpartisan way. He doesn't want to do anything to show he might investigate his own members of caucus, like Liberal MP Han Dong. Trudeau is inspiring no confidence at all. So when Trudeau says, well, there's nothing I can do, I can't make this decision, I can't make that decision, he goes on this long, long story as if his hands are tied, as if he can't do more. Well, we've got an example in Ontario that proves otherwise. Premier Ford did the right thing. Prime Minister Trudeau, not so much.
Yeah, so there you go. That's Sun Media, which is also part of Post Media, and they, they're at least coming out and giving the other side from what we're hearing in most of mainstream media concerning the Chinese infiltration into our elections. And so you see the two different ways that Doug Ford handled it compared to Prime Minister Trudeau. Shows that you can handle it in a different way. You can basically put them on hold. Now he's an independent MPP. He's not part of the Conservatives until they investigate it, until they find out. Now, that particular MPP also tried using what's the race card instead of just saying, you know what, I can see where you would see this. Obviously, there's leaks from our intelligence community. And I know I didn't do anything wrong. So what I'll do is I'll just back away a bit and let you guys, because this is a democracy, I'm going to show that. No. You said, no, there's no reason to investigate this. You're racist if you do. And so whenever I see someone do that, I think, okay. Because if someone accuses me of something, right away I go, hey, come on in, check it out. AJ, we believe you stole the pen at the office. Oh, really? What, is that because I'm over 50 years old and a man? Is that why you're saying that? And you think just because, I was raised with less computers and whatever, I use pens mostly, and you're racist? Is that what someone would say coming back as a response? Or would they say, honestly, I didn't take it. I don't know where the pen is. You're welcome to come in and look at my office and whatever it takes to be satisfied that I didn't take the pen, if I'm telling the truth. It's that simple. And so as you see the way this is being handled, it's telling you something. Why not just have a public inquiry? A public one, not an self-appointed one. We'll appoint the person who's going to, my skiing buddy, the person that's on my foundation. And then the left media, the CBC actually came out and said, the opposition should be satisfied that this has the optics of being an unpartisan or nonpartisan, unbiased rapporteur, whatever that exactly is. So we should be satisfied because he was appointed by the then sitting prime minister, who was progressive conservative. So he was appointed by a conservative. So we should be happy as Governor General that we should be happy that, he is the rapporteur investigating, right? so many things happening here that are wrong. But I do like the way Doug Ford handled it compared to, and now the fact that he's even sitting as an MPP and he is still active as an independent, to me, even tougher measures should have happened with him. Yes, good morning, Dennis. Or is it Denise? Thanks for being with us. My eyesight, I really apologize. So for that, and Adam is saying, we need a leader, not a liar. Leader, liar. I want to believe my vote matters, but the Liberal government has me believing otherwise. Everything is racist these days by the left. And you said radical left. I was editing that in real time, which I shouldn't be doing. Let's see here. There's definitely a very progressive radical side out there. And this is what I don't get in the media when they say far right conservatives a lot. They'll never say far left. The media, the mainstream media will never say, oh, this was done by someone who is far left or radical left. They don't use that, but they do use extreme far right. So if there's an extreme far right, it's like saying there's a ruler and there's a zero and then there's negative and then there's positive or whatever. And you only say the ruler is only partially there, but there is another side too. And they just leave that out. There are two extreme sides of the coin, but it's never mentioned in the media. Speaking of something that's never mentioned, I'm going to do this. I didn't think I'd have time, but Tucker last night talking about climate change predictions. We talked about potholes, climate change, and I just wanted to end with this, guys. I might have enough time, but this is my favorite talk show host, I guess you can say. He digs things up. I know, Miles, at one time you said that he was accused of being racist. I watch him so often that I've never heard him say anything racist. And I asked you if you can find something that he said was racist. And so we'll just see if he says something here that you need to watch out for, or if he's just making the point of climate change predictions that went very wrong in the past. Following up on our story yesterday with climate change and potholes. All right. We'll be right back.
Virus than your average virologist on CNN. Your aunt would tell you to go outside, get some exercise, some sunlight, some fresh air, stop eating junk food, turn off your computer once in a while, spend time with other people. Be healthy. That advice worked. The experts, by contrast, made you get the vaccine, and that did not work. So by March of 2021, people are starting to figure this out. Anyone who was paying attention in America understood that the experts, many of them, were full of it. And it was exactly at that moment that the Atlantic magazine in Washington published a piece pushing back against the growing consensus. That story was entitled, "Following Your Gut Isn't the Right Way to Go." It's hard to think of a funnier headline, really, mostly because it's so spectacularly absurd. You should always trust your gut, obviously. It is the one thing that will never betray you. But the Atlantic magazine wanted you to know that your natural instincts are, in fact, worthless. The experts had a rough year, the magazine conceded, but we still have to trust them. Right. Actually, we don't have to trust them. And on big questions of public policy, we absolutely should not trust them. It's a democracy. But Washington is continuing to demand that we do trust them. Why? There may be a reason. Maybe COVID isn't the only big project they have in mind for us, a project the experts will justify on MSNBC. And indeed, it's not. There is the climate change agenda. And the climate change agenda is the single most ambitious effort to remake human civilization in all recorded history. And it's coming. In fact, it's already in progress. The only reason that millions and millions of Americans aren't protesting in the streets tonight over this effort to completely overturn their lives is that on some level, many people still do trust the experts, at least on climate change. But should they? We were pondering that this morning when we saw that the world's most famous climate change expert, Greta Thunberg of Sweden, just deleted a tweet she wrote in June of 2018. Here it is, quote, "A top climate scientist is warning that climate change will wipe out all of humanity unless we stop using fossil fuels over the next 5 years." Scientist, of course, was a Harvard professor, so obviously that prediction was going to be correct. But here we are, still driving our Silverados and still alive, and some of us are still happy. So it does make you wonder if Greta Thunberg, the greatly revered Greta Thunberg, a perennial finalist for the Nobel Peace Prize, could have gotten that so wrong. What else have the climate experts gotten wrong? And how long have they been getting it wrong? Well, fortunately, the Competitive Enterprise Institute has done the research on this, and it turns out these people have been very wrong for a very long time. 1969, the New York Times was printing climate hysteria from an expert called Paul Ehrlich. Quote, "We must realize that unless we are extremely lucky, everybody will disappear in a cloud of blue steam in 20 years. That was Paul Ehrlich in 1969. Well, here it is, 2023, and that same Paul Ehrlich, who's now 90 and still publishing books and still being cited on 60 Minutes, is still telling us that we're all going to die. Now, clearly, Paul Ehrlich had some sort of traumatic childhood he's been inflicting on the rest of us for over 50 years. And for over 50 years, his fellow experts have taken him seriously. Now, back then, of course, climate change didn't mean global warming. It meant a new ice age. In 1970, the Boston Globe reported, quote, "Scientists predict a new ice age by 21st century. According to the Globe, air pollution may obliterate the sun and cause a new ice age in the first third of the next century." An ice age. In 1972, Brown University's science department sent a letter to the White House explaining that they had deep concern with the future of the world because this ice age falls within the rank of processes which produced the last ice age. 2 years later, in 1974, The Guardian reported that, quote, "spy satellites show new ice age is coming fast." And the report cited, just for moral weight, analysis carried out at Columbia University. Then, a few years later, 1977, the actor Leonard Nimoy, was not a science expert technically, but played one at one point on television, shot this video.
"We are unprepared for the next advance. The result could be hunger and death on a scale unprecedented in all of history. What scientists are telling us now is that the threat of an ice age is not as remote as they once thought. During the lifetime of our grandchildren, Arctic cold and perpetual snow could turn most of the inhabitable portions of our planet into a polar desert."
Hunger and death on an unprecedented scale. Someone else with the tragic childhood he inflicted on the rest of us. But by the early 1980s, when the ice didn't arrive, well, the experts decided the problem wasn't too much cold, it was too much heat. It was global warming. In 1989, the Associated Press ran this story, quote, "A senior UN environmental official says entire nations could be wiped off the face of the earth by rising sea levels if global warming trend is not reversed by the year 2000. In other words, 23 years ago. That same year, 1989, a climate expert called Jim Hansen met with a reporter from Ceylon. According to Ceylon, Hansen explained that within 20 or 30 years, quote, "the West Side Highway," which runs along the Hudson River in Manhattan, "will be underwater." Underwater. We checked tonight, and actually it's congested, but still a road. Then in March of 2000, the Independent newspaper ran a piece explaining that snowfalls are now just a thing of the past. And we're quoting, "Snow is starting to disappear from our lives." The piece quoted a climate expert claiming that, quote, "children just aren't going to know what snow is." No idea what snow is. It'll be a relic not of the Ice Age, but of the great inferno of global warming. Then, in 2004, amazingly, civilization still existed, The Guardian predicted that, quote, "major European cities will be sunk beneath rising seas as Britain is plunged into a Siberian climate by 2020, which is a little confusing because global warming doesn't typically produce a Siberian climate. And it was around this time that they decided, hey, we don't want to get pinned down on the details. Will it be too hot? Will it be too cold? We don't want to say. Something bad's going to happen, so we're going to call it climate change. And that paved the way for Al Gore, who in 2006 released his famous documentary, An Inconvenient Truth. And the beauty of An Inconvenient Truth is now that it's been, well, inconveniently more than 15 years since it came out, we can fact check its claims. Here's the trailer.
If you look at the 10 hottest years ever measured, they've all occurred in the last 14 years.
And the hottest of all was 2005. This is Patagonia, 75 years ago, and the same glacier today. This is Mount Kilimanjaro, 30 years ago, and last year. Within the decade, there will be no more snows of Kilimanjaro.
Al Gore also said there would be no ice in the Arctic. He quoted researchers, climate researchers, experts, and he explained that, quote, the North Pole will be ice-free in the summer by 2013 because of man-made global warming. Now, it does take a certain level of chutzpah to make a prediction that precise, and Al Gore made many of them, and all of them turned out to be wrong. And for a normal person, that would be a cue, well, maybe it's time to retire. I'm rich on Google stock. Maybe I could just stop talking because...
So you get the point there. And that's just something I just because for me to reiterate what Tucker just did there with all of the predictions, I just thought it's better to just let him explain it, right? So, and there you have it. And that's why I really appreciate his reporting. It's just spot on, things that I've always wondered, how many times have we predicted things that have happened? And can you go back? And I like to do this with news. I'd like to go back to the news and see what they were saying back then and actually show it. And they never say sorry when they're wrong. They don't come out and say, "Oh, we were wrong," and then just get back on a real. There's always an agenda behind stuff. There's always some kind of monetary agenda or power agenda. It's just. I just want the truth. I just want what's really going on, and I just want it. What's happening. And so with this whole climate thing, we've made collectively. In where I live anyways, with most of the people I talk to, we've collectively made up our minds that we're going along with this regardless of truth or facts or whatever. And at some point we said, we gotta just make a decision and go with it, regardless if it's right or wrong. And I think that's wrong in and of itself. But anyways, gotta leave it there with everyone. I just thought that would be a great follow-up to our pothole climate change story from CBC the other day. Thanks for being with us. Hopefully everyone has a great weekend. Stay safe with the weather that's going on out there. Thank you so very much for sticking with us today, and we'll see you same time, same place on Monday. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily, everyone. Have a great and wonderful weekend. We'll see you. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.